Hello guys, welcome to the next session of our writing code with AI. This is 104, which is learning new programming language with AI. So how can you safely, effectively learn new programming language using AI? I will jump right into it. So, excuse me. So how do you start off learning any new programming language? In those days, I use books, right? We use books, and nowadays we use YouTube, right? Or we take up courses and what have you. And most times, what you will notice is that most of these YouTube or courses out there, they focus on one aspect of, the learning, right? So the point is, how can you use AI to start learning new programming language? So learning a programming language used to, we rely majorly on books, videos, and even mentors, right, to teach us what we want to learn. And you will know that if you want to learn one particular concept, it's either it's not available in that particular course or it's not available in that particular book, or your mentor does not even have, a good control over that particular part of things you are trying to learn, and you end up having so many mentors doing so many things, or you taking so many courses in trying to do what you need to do. So the challenge, what we have nowadays is that, or what we use is, what we're used to is books, and we have courses which also contain books, we have videos, in extension YouTube's, and we have mentors. So this is how most people are getting trained, which is not bad, right? This is the natural way we've been doing things. So, but now AI has come into the mix to make things very easy for us with the likes of ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, Cursor, Cloud, etc. It makes learning easy. And the point of today's class is to show you how you can learn your language. So AI can explain concepts, in various different ways that will get you to understand it. That's one of the things that we need to get out of the road. It can try and explain it in different ways. Most times the reason why we watch so many videos is maybe because one person is not doing it well for us. We can try another video to see if the concept we're clicking. AI can also fit into that position, even though it's not going to give you that video experience. It's going to try and break it down with examples and code generation and things like that. Okay, so why AI makes learning faster? Why does AI makes learning faster? Why do you think? Because there are several ways in which we can learn how to code. We've chosen now to use AI. So the things about this is that one of the major ways is that you have 247. So I call it 247 tutor. So someone that is gonna be with you 247. Anytime you need it, you can ask anything. Like literally ask it anything. And guess what? You get instant feedback. And all these things are free. You get instant feedback on anything that you want it. The idea is that I'm going to show you a safe way to easily get your results, right? And the basic fundamentals are the things that you need to know. Even if you have no clue on anything, you need to be able to keep your own track, like keep your own flow. Because one of the disadvantages we did tell you guys about AI is that sometimes it lost its mind, or it lost the context of what you are trying to say. You have to always keep the guy in check, keep it in line that, hey, this is what I'm still talking about. Don't go wandering off and, talking about other things. So always put things in context if you want to get the best results. So AI also give you what I call customized explanation. And this is based on your history of questions that you've been asking it. So AI gets to know your mindset, well, not mindset, more like your skill set. So there are some times that I ask AI to do some stuff for me, and he already know the programming language is going to give me those things on, because he knows that I ask it things on Golang a lot. So when I ask it to do some code for me, code generation, is going to do it on the programming language I keep asking it. So it gives you customized explanation, and it knows your level. So that way you get that level of consistency. Another thing, again, you can tell it to, most times, if you guys are aware, if you've tried to learn any programming language before, you get advice like build a project. And guess what? The major point of this thing is that you want somebody that will just generate something for you quick and fast. AI can generate a project for you quickly and fast, and you can use that to build up your learning and things like that. Okay, so let's go to the next thing, which is how students, should use AI. How you should use AI. How should you use AI correctly? So because the idea is that you want to learn. So there are wrong way to do it, and then there is a correct way to do it. So what are the smart usage for it? Is because this is where the pitfall falls in. You want to use AI to learn stuff, but you're not going about it, the right way. So number one is ask for explanation of concepts. So if there's something that that AI has done for you, ask it to explain it for you. If you've ever asked AI to generate any code for you, you will notice that it spends more time explaining the code than even the code itself. And this is the fundamental part of what it's supposed to be doing, because whatever it has generated, it needs to kind of prove it to you that it works. So most times when you're using AI to learn, ask for explanation of concept. That kind of creates a reinforcement for you to kind of build on whatever it has told you or shown to you. The next thing you need to also put into practice is use AI to generate practical or to practice tasks. So I will explain what that means. So use AI to generate practice task. Let's say, for example, you just learned about variable, how to use variable in a particular programming language. You can ask it to give you questions, like ask me a question, let me go and do, right? I just learned something about array. Ask me, give me something on array, let me do. And that would test your knowledge if really you understand how array works. So do you see? It's reinforcing the things that you've learned or that it has explained to you. So the next one is use it to review your code, not writing it most of the time. So not writing, everything. Okay. Not depending on it too much to write everything for you. Your code should be reviewed by AI, and you should use AI to review your code more often than for it to write it for you from scratch. Now, let's say you write a piece of code, right, and it's not working. That is your pure 100% knowledge that you have. It didn't generate it for you. Give it to AI, let it critique it for you. And this is what you normally do to a normal human teacher, right? You've written out the code, and then you have issues with it, or it's not working the way to work. You will say, Oga, let me check this. Is it working well? That's the same thing you are doing now. So it's going to line by line break down what you've done wrong, and then by so doing, you will learn something from that. So that's that point there. Use it to review your code, not depending on it to write much of the code for you. Another one is ask for, that's almost the same thing as the first thing we've said. Ask for step by step reasoning. So this is more of like how you got to where you are. Breakdown is more of like also code explanation. Finally, get alternative to understanding different concepts. So if it explains something for you in one way, you could tell it to explain it again another way. Like infinite amount of ways, and that's crazy. So if you are trying to learn, there's one course in JavaScript that is kind of very difficult for most people, and that's algorithm. So let's assume you tell it to explain algorithm for you, and it tried. You can tell it to do something, say explain it to a 5-year-old, and it's gonna try and break it down in that way. So by so doing, you are getting the hang of these things. So that's how you can get it to do it for you. Now, this is the good way to use AI. There's also the bad way. So I'm going to talk about the bad way, and the idea is so that you note what you are doing and stay away from it. Stay away from the bad way, because surely many people use this bad way to learn, and one of the bad way is copy and paste the entire code without reading. Yeah, mostly you just want to get it over with. Tell it to do something, boom, you copy paste and then moving on, right? You move on to the next thing. So it's a bad way to learn. Remember the topic what we're doing. You want to learn a new programming language, we need to go step by step. Know what every line of code should make sense to you, or you should understand that, right? Any new keyword that you see, go and study the history of the keyword and let it sink in and move on to the next thing. So that way you're reinforcing what you are learning. Okay. The next one is letting AI build that. This is at the bad way, letting AI build everything without understanding. So you have a project that you want to do, and then you tell it to write everything for you, and the whole thing is working, log in, everything is simple, and then you boom, you are done. Without you understanding the whole thing, you just carry go. So it's a bad way to use AI to learn. Not trying your own before asking. Not trying on your own before asking. So this is, they'd use this in school, where you have maybe you have a new class or a new topic in class, and then the teacher will kind of tell you that you guys should go and give a crack at it. Go and try. What do you think this means? You go and think about it first. So most times you need to also give it a crack before telling AI to do stuff for you. That's that part. So these are the bad ways in which you can use AI to learn. These three things stands out as the bad way. We just finished talking about the good way. Ask for explanation of concept. Use AI to generate practice task. Use it to review your code. Ask for step-by-step reasoning. Get alternative to understanding different concepts. So let's move on to the next one. By the way, we were gonna do a real life learning of a programming language, and which is Golang. I don't know how long we're gonna use to learn that, because this is supposed to be a short video, but let's see how long it takes to learn that part. So I have the next one is practical framework. So we have a practical framework we can use to learn anything, especially with AI. So there's a practical framework, and we're going to try and implement it, like I said, which is practical framework, how to learn any language with AI. So it has this it's called ACTS, the ACTS framework. I'm going to write it like this: ACT. So you ask me, what does A stands for? 1 2 1 2 3 4. The A stands for guess, ask, right? So start by asking AI to explain the basics for you, and then you read. You can't leave reading alone. No, reading is very, much more part of learning anything. You have to read, right? You have to read. So if you don't want to read, you don't want to learn. It's not just that AI will just do everything for you and you sit back. There's the reading part and then there's the learning part. So ask, and you ask it to explain, go variables, that I'm 12 years old. So let me give you an example of what I mean by, I think I've used that example before. So, but let me just write a note here and say, start by asking AI to explain the basics, right? Like, for example, you can say, I am a 5-year-old. What is variable? Right? You can start up like this, and then the simple explanation is going to help you. Most times, when you are learning programming language from the books, or from the videos, they make it sound like you're already a degree holder. And then there are some things, explanation, that will pass your head that you will not understand, right? So once you can give your situation to the AI, and it's going to use your own experience to teach you. So that's another thing. Another example can be, show me how to set up a basic REST API in Rust. And by the way, we'll use Rust this evening. We'll use Rust, and God help us, we'll be able to set it up. I've not used Rust before in my life, so we're gonna see how to pull that off, if it's going to work or not. If it doesn't, good luck. If it does, good. So let's move on to the next thing. So next thing is C, and the C is the code part. Okay, so what does the code part talks about? You write your own code. I hope we'll be able to have that time to actually be able to write our own code. Remember that we want to do this in, give or take, 30 minutes. We want to see if we can learn. With my experience in coding, there are some things that I will just pass aside, right? So what's API? Someone is asking what's API. You can just ask ChatGPT. We're using AI, so there are some basic things. I will talk about that later. So, because you need to know what you want to do first before you can be able to do anything. If you don't know what you want to do, there's no point. You need to know what you want to do. Write your own code. Then the next thing is, then ask AI to review it. We already talked about this. We already talked about this one. So the way to do that is, example, imagine you've written your code. You can just tell it that here is my code. What can I improve on? So by doing this, you are going to learn quite a lot. And we're going to do these little examples. Another question you can ask is, why is this error coming up? It's going to do that for you, as in kind of look through your code and then finish up that for you. Then we have the last one, the T part of the framework, of the framework is, let me see, I think we're missing some steps here. This is supposed to be 4. Who can guess what T is for? T is for transform. What are we transforming? So make the project better using AI. So the idea is to make your project better. Okay, so how do you make project better? By refactoring, adding error handlers, and then convert, you can tell it to add error handlers. The idea is that the purpose of refactoring, I know these are more like high level terminologies I'm using now, and I'm sure it's getting over your head, like what is refactoring again? So let me help you guys. So refactoring is to making your code more easier to maintain. That's layman explanation. Make your code more easier to read and to maintain. Okay, let me say to maintain. So error handling is to bulletproof your code. Bulletproof your code. Okay, so these are ways you can tell, so you can transform your code that you've written. If you've written a basic code, you can say, hey, refactor it for me. Hey, add error handling for me. What other thing can you tell it to do? You can tell it to, convert, this code to another style of coding. Yeah, you can do all sort of. Okay, so we are going to get to the point of using an actual, so this is like the learning part of it, like the talk part of it. So let's put our talk to work. Let's put our talk to work and learn a new programming language. So let's go. I want to do Rust. I've not done Rust before. Rust has been the most loved programming language by programmers. This Rust. Before we start talking about Rust, I need to say something, or I need to add something to what I want to put here. Now you need to, there are some things you need to pay attention to. So I'll say things to put in your mind. So number one, you must know what you want. So it sounds so trivial, like knowing what you want. How to get there is not a problem. If you can't articulate what you want, you cannot get to where you are going to. So let me give you an example. Imagine you want to generate this context. You want to do this site like this. You want to generate this site, but you can't express what you want. There's no way on earth that this is going to land on your table. You can see this site as it is. I'm sure if I ask you to describe it, you should be able to describe it and say, oh, it has this is a row now. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can say a multicolored website with so many rows. You should be able to express yourself. If you can't express yourself in writing, you're not going to get anywhere with AI. I need to put that out there. You must know what you want, right? And anytime you see something you don't understand, ask AI to explain it for you. Like someone asked, what is API? I did this one here. Someone was saying, what is API? Even this REST, what is REST? Ask it to do anything for you, like explain anything for you. We've talked about it in the beginning to the end. So again, you must know what you want. If you don't know what you want, you are back to square one. You need to start going and figure that out first. Okay, so we want to learn Rust quickly in 30 to 1 hour. We want to be able to create a REST application. We want to use Rust to. Now, the point is, what do we want to use Rust to do? That's first thing. Even though we want to learn it, it should have an end goal. We should have targets of what we want to achieve. You're not just learning for learning's sake. Oh, I want to learn Node.js. I want to learn TypeScript. I want to learn this. I want to learn that. For what purpose? What's the end game of what you are trying to do? You should have a picture in mind. I don't want us to use it to build a website because it will waste our time. We just want to do a REST API. I think we should be able to pull that off. Now let's read the site and see what Rust is meant for. So that will also give us a kind of thing to be able to do. So A language empowered by everybody to build reliable and efficient software. Rust is blazingly fast, so blazingly fast. Underline the word blazingly fast. And memory efficient with no runtime or garbage collector. This is more like the selling point for Rust, the fact that it's fast. I do understand that you have no knowledge about programming language, so that is very, very key. You can't also tell AI to explain programming language to you in like you're a 5-year-old. Like I said, you must be ready to read. If you are not ready to read, you can't learn anything. Yeah, so be ready to read. These are the interesting thing about Rust: performance, reliable, productivity. So built in Rust, they build command line in Rust as WebAssembly. If you don't know the meaning of all these things, you don't need to worry too much. But where we are falling towards is towards writing web apps, right? In all the thing we're trying to do, where we fall towards the tool, the kind of thing we want to build is triggered towards something here, web apps. But we're not going to build an app. We just want to, create a web server. We're targeting towards creating a web server. Okay. Now, the first thing we'll do is let's bring up ChatGPT, because the idea is that we need to let AI do stuff for us. Can I make this thing big? So unfortunately, it'll be bigger than this, but I'll be giving you guys the update of what I'm asking it. I'll be giving you the prompt. We've talked about prompts before. Prompts are the things you ask your AI stuff to do for you, and your prompt is as good as the results. If you don't have a good prompt, you won't have a good result. So I'm gonna be using let me use ChatGPT online. So yes, I think this one is better. Let's use, I've not even signed up on it. No, stay out of this. So what's gonna be our prompt? Our prompt is that I don't know Rust, right? I want to build a REST API. So for someone asking me what REST API means, REST API is a method of accessing a resources, a backend resource. So that's putting it short, but you can Google what REST API means. You will see the result there. So we want to build a REST API so that we can create a server. So this is what I've attached. I don't know Rust. I want to build a REST API. You have a study stuff here. You can study, you can search the internet, and then you can I'll just let it go and give us the vanilla stuff. Remember, I don't know anything about Rust. So this guy has gotten to work and is giving us all the things we need to do. I'm going to do this for the first time. I've not done any of this before. I keep saying that because that's just what it is. So I'm going to be very fast. Option 1 is this. Option 2 is this. Okay, so he recommends option 1. I'm going to go with option 1, which is Axiom. Okay, so for Axiom, we're going to do this stuff. This is what it's asking us to do. And it's asking us to, it didn't tell us to install Rust or anything. Okay, we have a network issue. So from my experience, you will always need to install something. But I'm not going to install anything. I'm just going to go at it and do it, because the idea is that you have no idea. I'm also going to play dumb and try to use it, and then let's experience the mistake together. So I'm going to refresh this so that it's going to try and do it again for me, because I guess the network, got terminated at some point. Oh, now it said that we should install Rust. So what happened the first time? I have no idea. Now that brings you back to the beginning of the class when I said some of these things, sometimes they are hit or miss. You saw the first prompt, we gave the same prompt, we got different results. Because of my experience, I knew I needed to install Rust, but it never said anything like that. It just thought again and say, oh, it was missing the thing to do. So let's go ahead and follow the step. The first thing is for us to copy this guy. I have my terminal up and running here. I don't know if I should use this terminal. Okay, let's use this terminal here. Even though I would have loved to use another terminal. So let's copy all these things. And whenever you get stuck, make sure you're able to, get yourself back. Another thing I want to encourage you to do, you can open multiple terminal. And the idea of opening multiple terminal for your conversation with ChatGPT is such that you don't override this one, what you are doing here. If you imagine you get stuck at step 1, you can tell it to whatever result you are getting in your error you are getting in step 1, you can put it here for it to work on it for you. That's the idea. You can put it here and then it will kind of resolve it for you while you are still maintaining this prompt here. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. I just copy and paste. If there's any details, it's going to do it for me. Normally, I do prefer using, what's the word? I like to use Braille for what I do, but let's just go ahead and see what it does. This is going to take some time. I've not tried it before, but I don't know. Just going to leave. Oh, okay. It came fast. So it came with some stuff. I think what it did was to check out my system. If you notice, it has seen my system, my architecture. I'm using Apple, whatever. Asking me if I want to do all these things. Proceed with standard installation. Now, if you don't understand where you are here or what is going on, you can always go to ChatGPT and tell it to expatiate on this. Now, notice that he assumed that you are very smart, or rather you have that prior knowledge of Rust, and that's why it jumped so many things. It's not giving you detailed information, what to do and what have you. So some people might get stuck at the step 0, like at this part. They might not know what to do, right? So it's good for you to be able to tell what to do. So let me give you an example. Let's say we got stuck. I'm just going to copy this code, everything here, and everything that the system, from the beginning of my charts or of my prompts, I'm going to tell it, send it to the prompt and tell it what should I do next. So this is everything. And then I'm going to say, so you could actually do something like this. So you can do something like this, because I get this all the time from people asking me, what should they do? And you can see, of course, even though what we are supposed to do is obvious, right? Sometimes obvious things are not obvious to some people. So the guy is there waiting to you to ask it any question. So you say you are in Rust installer prompt. It's asking whether you want to install Rust default settings or customize it. What you should do, if you are new to Rust, you just want to get going quickly, press enter 1 and all this story. Okay, so let's get back to the whole thing. So where are we? Our option is to do 1 standard installation, and I press enter. So it's doing the whole thing, installing what it needs to install. I think it's how many megabytes? This is 8 megabytes of whatever it needs to install. While it's doing that, let's look at the step 2. The step 2 is to create a new project, which is to use Cargo new this. I think Cargo is I've been hearing about Rust, right? So I know what Cargo is, even though, like I said, I've not learned Rust or anything, but I know Cargo is a package manager. What is a package manager? Package manager allows you, is a tool to manage packages packages in a particular programming language. So you have it in Node.js, you have it in Golang, you have it in so many part of the programming language out there. So you can even ask it, what is Cargo? So if you ask it, what is Cargo? Is Rust official package manager, build system for project manager. So it gives you all the whole thing about Cargo. Remember that we're on a time. We want to do this quickly. Normally, you're supposed to learn about each thing that you see. So even though this CURL is not part of Rust, is another command on its own, you can just learn about it. So you are seeing cargo for the first time. If I were you, this is the time for you to learn anything you see that is new. Just read about it. You are reinforcing your learning. So anytime you see it again, you already know what it is. You are not new to it. You're not just copying and paste. You're not doing things blindly. Just copy paste. No, you are seeing the information, you are consuming it, and then you are using it. So let's go and create this one here. Cargo, you say we should do this. So this is where I would rather prefer we go through. So it's still installing it. So it's installing quite a lot of things. So yeah, this is cargo. It just installed cargo or downloaded cargo. And there are other things that it's going to use, because for programming language, they're going to be using a lot of tools to make things happen. And you can see all the things that it's trying to install. This will kind of take some time. While it's doing its thing, let me prepare the terminal. So terminal is where you write your commands. Most times people don't like this. So terminal is where you write your command. So let me prepare to start writing my command. So I want to go to where I have all my, so this is where I'm going to be having all my stuffs, which is volume apps. That's where I have all my apps in place. Let's check it out and see where we are. I think it's going to take quite some time. So while it's doing this, let's try and do something else, and to while away some time. Let's move on to step 3. So step 1 is going to probably, create the folder, not just creating this folder alone. So you are saying you want to create a new project right here, and I'm sure it's going to initialize some things, whatever you do. So once we get here, we're just going to create it directly. No too much story. The step 3 is to add dependencies. What is dependencies? Are things that you need to make the main thing to work. Those are what they call dependencies. So this is going to be new. This cargo.toml, I think, is part of whatever we did here. It's going to create this file. So you say we should open it and put all these stories. Remember, again, you're supposed to, anything that you see for the first time, take your time out and learn about it. Remember the first prompt we put, it says we should use Axum. So this Axum is what we're going to be using for our Rust. You can learn about Tokyo, Shade, or Sade JSON. You can learn about all these guys. These are dependencies that your project is going to be relying on. So once we do that, we open this file, we copy and paste. Remember, the idea is not just to copy and paste. That's a bad way to learn. Whenever you do, you learn it, not just copy and, we're going to be doing copy and paste a lot because of the time. The next thing it's asking us to do is to write actual code. This is how you write Rust code. We're not learning anything yet. We're just going to do copy and paste first to see if it works. Then we'll start the learning thing. Now let's go to the terminal and see if we are done. Whoa, we are not yet close. It's still there. Now what I can do is I can start creating the file. Let's start up by creating this file, what he asked us to do. Now step 4 is that we write a minimal REST API. Our minimal REST API is that we are going to replace whatever is in our main RS. I think when we did this, it's created something like so. I think it's going to come with some files. So it's asking us to replace whatever is there with this. Okay, so we're going to copy and paste all this guy in. And the step 5 is to run our code, which is cargo run. And once we run our code, this should be ready for us. We should be able to open this in our browser and it should show a web page, say hi, and that would have been all. What we've just done is not to learn, is to start up. But I want to start up first, then I will now go into talking about learning it. Okay. Good, finally we are done. it has finished doing what it needs to do, and it did quite a lot of stuff. You should also take time to understand what it has done. Installation is not learning anything new, but it has done some stuff on your system. This is what it installed. Rust is installed now. Great. It has done all these things. We're good to go. Now, I said I was going to use the terminal. I don't want to use this one because I need to create a new folder, which I will jump into. So I'm going to close this guy and start up with my terminal guy. So let's go back to the first code we saw, which is this guy. So I'm going to go to the terminal guy, and this time around I'm going to call it, instead of my app, I just say Rust app. Okay, so I'm going to call this Rust app. These are two different command line, by the way, or let me write it one by one. So the first command is supposed to do its thing. I don't know if it will work. Good. First trial, it worked, no error. We didn't have any error. I was expecting to see error like it doesn't know what cargo is, but fortunately for us, our installation went well and it actually know what Rust is. It has created the cargo turmoil that it wanted to do. It said we should cd into it, which I don't really need to. I can just go into it. We are inside it now, but I don't need to cd into it. I can just open it up as a project. So I can use, I'll just open it up as a project. So let's go ahead and open it up here. Open folder, and we have it here as my Rust app. Okay, so you guys can see the folder, you know, that it has. This is the turmoil folder that it's created for us, and it asks us to add something in the dependencies. So let's quickly go and copy what is in that dependencies here. I'm just going to copy this guy and go to what we have, put our dependencies there. So I think it's going to get these these four things for us. I don't know how yet, but I'll go on and go to my main. So this is my main RS. So your main RS just does simple things, and the idea is that it prints this to the console. I guess once you run this, it's supposed to print it to the console, which is what we're supposed to do, by the way. But we went ahead to tell it to go and create a REST application for us. We're supposed to just start from here, but that's fine. We'll use the code it has generated to learn what we want to learn. Okay, so we come here and do the step 4, which is replace this one. I'm just going to copy everything we have here and go to here and change this one to have all these beautiful codes. So this is like 34 line of code or 36 line of code. We have it right there. So let's see what the next thing is, which is to run. So we'll go to click cargo run, or we run cargo run. So we do that from our app. That's from our Visual Studio or your editor that you use. You just go to the terminal and I can do cargo run. That's how to execute your code. I'm hoping that it's going to download some things. So it's fetching some stuff. Interesting. So I think this is the requirements that we did inside the cargo.toml, right? Each of these, this is like the, you know, we said this is the package manager. So it's trying to get the dependencies that are required to run the new things that we said to run now. So this is the axiom, our first ever error. Interesting. Okay, now because of my experience, I think I should be able to know what's going on. So failed to resolve, could not find server in axiom. So I won't just dive and try to fix it. This is another thing that you could do to start fixing error. Most times you just copy the error like so. I'm sure you would have done this several times. You copy the error like this and then give it to the guy that gave you the code. We've not started the learning thing, though, by the way, so just hold on first. So here it said that everything was supposed to have been done here, but we'll tell it, Oga, it didn't work as you said it will be. It will. So I'm gonna give it the error code, and guess what? It's gonna try and resolve the issue for us. So it says it found the issue, and it wants to fix it for us. So we're supposed to update our cargo to have all these things again. I think the version that he specified was different. And this is another thing again I need to mention, and I can't mention it too much. The AI is not that. AI is wonderful, but there's gonna be one more thing that is gonna add, so you can't depend on it too much on 100%. It's supposed to generate code for you fast, help you to debug things, make things fast. I can't overemphasize that. Right, so we've done that. So let's go ahead and run. Let me see if that's all the things that he proposed that we should do then before we go ahead. So it said we should do this, and then okay, it's asked us to also update our code. So I'm gonna copy everything again and change. So unfortunately, we will not know what changed. Unfortunately, we don't know what changed, but something changed. The good thing is that you can ask it what changed. That's another thing again I want to emphasize. Don't just copy your code and say, hey, you are good to go. You can tell it what happened. So from the beginning, he tried to mention I gave match. He said the code I gave matches 0.6. My mistake. Let's fix it for Axiom 0.7, which now uses hyper directly. You can imagine ChatGPT is, I'm sure this is not the first time you're hearing that AI is making mistake. It makes mistake a lot. And the good thing is that it corrects its own mistake. Sometimes it runs in loop and never finds a fix for it. So you should know all these things. And that's why you can use it for your own advantage and to learn. And you be the one to think by yourself. If you do the actual thinking yourself and put one or two things together. So it has corrected the code. So the code he wrote now works with this. But he puts this one in the code, and then this one was what was specified in the package, which is here. But the code it wrote matches for 0.6. So what he added was this. So let's hope that will fix it, and then we can move on to the other part of the whole thing. So if I come in here, I just need to repeat the same cargo run again, and hopefully this time around the whole thing will work. Fingers crossed. So we have another issue. Again, repeat the circle. You can't be tired of this circle thing. So I've repeated the circle again. Now it says another thing, that in hype 1.0, the server type is not located at so. Okay. I purposely didn't want to log in because I want to have a fresh experience. So we say we should copy best simplest example recommended. Okay, so now another thing again that you must know is this. I need to put this out there. When you are using ChatGPT or any programming language or any AI tool, there's this debate that AI don't necessarily is not as smart as we give them credit for. What they are doing is using what is already available, right? So you and I know that ChatGPT is not live. What that means is that it's not picking the live data on the internet. They work on already made content. They go to the web and crawl all the information and make sense out of it. And then when you ask it some things, it will jumble some stuff off and give you a result, which is brilliant, wonderful, right? So, but the whole thing is that if there's few information, Rust is pretty new programming language. So if there are few information on what you are trying to ask it to do, you always have problem like this, whereby your first code might not be the real code or might not work immediately. And that's why you need to learn it yourself and let it go through the basics of teaching you, the fundamental, instead of it going through all this fast and try and error thing. So let's give it a try again. Finally, it worked. finally it worked. And you can see that it's saying that, let's look at it very well. So this is where we stop. We just compiled here and it says our server is ready at 127 . So if you navigate to this, you should be seeing your server here. So I'm going to pull it up and paste it here. So hello from Rust plus Axiom. So this is Rust server. You are good to go. Now, how do you learn with Rust? What we just did now, we've not learned anything. Oh, by the way, we've not learned anything. Imagine I was given a project at work. I just got employed in a company and I was asked to set up a server with Rust. And I just went to go and do copy and paste now, as usual. Just imagine what we just did now. We didn't learn anything new. What we just did was to get the job done. But the knowledge is zero. So if you were to learn Rust with AI, what will be the procedure? Is to start with the CACT, which is ask. What question are we going to ask now? Starting with Axiom. So Axiom happens to be a package for doing REST stuff. We're supposed to ask it about this, learn about it, know what routing is, know what a router is. Of course, you should know what JSON is. JSON is JavaScript object, right? So know what it's all these things that you are seeing here. You're supposed to understand them. We won't have time to start breaking it down because the idea is not to learn, Rust with this. You can go and learn it with other things. So you can call this endpoint. I'm sure this endpoint is now available. Let me call echo endpoints to see what happened. Oh, this is for posts. So let me write something new. Let me say hi. I don't think it's reactive, or rather I think I have to restart the server every time I do this. That's another story for another day. I won't explain what that means. So if you make changes, you have to refresh, and before your change will happen. Okay, that is not working. I'm sure all Rusticians looking at me right now will just be laughing at me, right? This did not work the way I expect it to just work. Let me try if it will work again. Oh, okay, it's working. So if you do hi and it shows my hi there. If you also do something like this, it shows the information there. Okay, so I understand one or two things from here because of my experience as a programmer. But if you've never done any programming language before, you are supposed to take this one step at a time to undergo all these things, to learn it one after the other. Okay, let me try and write a program. I just saw something now. Let me say welcome. Okay, this is my first endpoint. Okay, so I can now put this one and say this is get welcome. Then I need to refresh the server. Yes, I thought as much. So you can't just do this. Yeah, it won't work. The reason is because Rust is a compiled language, so you have to compile each time you make a change. Of course, there are tools that will make it run on the fly, just like Golang does that. So if you refresh this, you will see this is my first endpoint, right? So it looks good, looks fine. I need to test the speed and whatnot. I don't know. Rust is kind of testing me. I'm more of like Go person. Async function. I like the shortcut for the function. Syntax doesn't look bad. It looks nice. This string main. So I think these are helper class or synthetic sugar to make your code, make the whole thing understand each other. Okay. So I guess that's it, guys. Do you guys have any question? That is the end of today's class. So let me put the video in the group so that you guys can have access.